Okay, hey, welcome to an episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have a really interesting review for you guys from the brand Milifortic. Mili for military and Fortic for fortitude. Now, they are an enthusiast-founded factory brand focused on providing high-value vintage-inspired homage watches, and they are a sister brand to Baltony. Now, in terms of type of watch, I'd consider this an everyday watch. Some key characteristics and design, which you're looking for something you can wear every day. Of course, you want to find that versatile blend of both sporty and dressy attributes. This is their 39.5mm sports watch with compass bezel, known as the S089, and it is the first homage to the Seiko Alpinist. And it's actually surprisingly not a direct clone. I think a lot of folks are going to see this at face value and think, oh, this is just a straight up clone with just a different logo. I will say that is not the case. So was surprised there. These are very, very affordable, like most Milifortic watches. This goes for $184 direct, and this sample was kindly provided by the brand for the purpose of this review. But of course, as with all of my videos, they're not going to get any type of editorial authority or even preview before everybody else sees this along, when they see my channel as this is published. So yeah, you guys know, if you're a fan of the channel, I collect Seiko Alpinists. I have a whole watch box dedicated to just my Seiko Alpinist sub collection. It's a collection within a collection. So this is going to be an interesting one for me. So with that said, let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. Okay guys, now I probably shouldn't go over this without first comparing it to this. Check it out. This is pretty much when somebody thinks of a Seiko Alpinist, this is typically what they think about. It's the JDM SARB 017. It is on an OEM bracelet, and it is quite iconic at this point, to the point to where, hey, even they're even coming out with homages of it. But again, I do believe that this is a true homage because there are a lot of subtle differences, and as you see them side by side, you're probably noticing more and more of those subtle differences in terms of that compass bezel, the dial, the spacing. Of course, this is more looking like the newer Prospex kind of Alpinist inspired models with that beautiful cyclops there that actually does work. The date magnifier does magnify the date quite well. Here you're going to go with the standard. Actually, interestingly enough, Seiko is putting out an updated model that is going to look more like this, but then with a couple different dial options to include a black dial. But Milifortic kind of beat them to the punch, which I think is interesting. So yeah. You can see there are some slight differences. Let's look at the case. You can see the case is actually quite different. Now, do you see the rounded edges there on the sides of the case? Look at all those angles and facets. Here, it's going to be a lot more standard. It's going to be a little bit more flat, a bit more of a sharp edge here versus a broken edge there. So there are quite a few differences. Again, they didn't just, again, this is not a clone by any means. There are quite a few differences. I mean, just look at it there. So very interesting. Even the handset, although they're both cathedral hands, you can see that it's a different handset. You can also notice that they didn't leave the negative space there for the skeletonization on the lower portions of the hands. They actually put Lume there. So again, there are quite a few differences. I'm a big Seiko fanatic. I collect Seiko. I am a big fan. Out of all the watches that I own, Seiko is one of the main brands that I have multiples of. So that is just how much I enjoy the Seiko brand. And something like this, you might expect it to offend me in some way. And maybe there are some parts, but not the things you're thinking of. So let's get into the details here, guys. It's going to be 39.5 millimeters in diameter. 11.5 millimeters thick and 46 millimeters lug to lug, 316L stainless steel, flat sapphire with that date magnifier, as well as an inner anti-reflective coating. You're going to get a screw down crown that is nicely signed at 3 o'clock. And then at the 4 o'clock, of course, is going to be the control for this 60 click. Yes, there are clicks in this. They're very faint. They're quite subtle. Not super tactile, but they are absolutely there. And I believe it's 60 clicks when I count in terms of the way this feels in my hand. 60 click bidirectional inner rotating compass bezel. And again, controlled by this 4 o'clock crown. So very cool. And again, you can see they did make some changes. Even just the slope of the bezel insert there, I should say inner rotating bezel, it's a different type of slope. There's just a lot that is done different, but at a glance, you're going to say it's just this watch. It's a clone. It happens to be black and on a rubber strap, right? With a different brand, but they're just very much different when you get into the details. So, if that was the case, then pretty much every field watch would be an homage to the Hamilton khaki, which isn't the case. There's just, that's a very popular layout, and at a glance, they might look similar, but then there's, of course, a lot of differences when you get closer. Now, the movement inside is also a Seiko movement, automatic Seiko Instruments NH35, so 41-hour power reserve beating at 3 hertz, or 21,600 vibrations per hour, although you can't see it. Nicely sealed here in this solid case back that is nicely etched. Another difference there, as you can notice, 100 meters water resistance versus the typical 20 bar or 200 meters of water resistance in the standard Alpinist. So I will say though, with a screw down crown, 100 meters for an adventure / field watch is more than enough. Do with that what you will. Now, getting into the dial, it's this Sunray black dial. It has applied indices, polished handset. It's using C3 Lume, 20 millimeter lugs, similar to the Alpinist. And then it's on this surprisingly nice strap. And some of you are saying, I don't like the look of that strap. Well, maybe not on this watch, but I will say this is a fine FKM rubber strap. This thing is nice. It's vented, accordion style, and it has quick release spring bars, and it is very pliable. It still feels quite robust and rugged and sturdy, while also being very, very pliable and, quite thin overall for a very, very comfortable fit and wear. So that was really surprising. And I'm with you guys. The looks wise, it will take a bit of getting used to when you think about a watch like this, because so many people buy the Alpinist because of its versatility. They really lean in onto the kind of go anywhere, do anything, the GATA side. But remember, parts of doing anything is also anything could be dressing it up. It's not just dressing it down. But I think this is a very, again, surprisingly nice strap that I would like. I mean, I wish they kind of offered this as an aftermarket strap because it is good. It has great ventilation. I think a handsome design, definitely has that Italian diver style there, especially with these nice accordion spaces there, which are going to give you nice structure. And then, of course, if your wrist is contracting or swelling underwater, then that is the perfect situation. And you can see it's nicely finished on the underside, even giving you quick release spring bars. You have these great floating keepers, which are fantastic, fully milled and signed tang buckle, which is quite nice as well. So with that said, let's actually get it on the wrist and see how it wears. Surprise, surprise, it wears like a Seiko Alpinist. So yeah, it wears really well, I have to say, and it looks quite nice. Maybe even a flatter profile than the traditional Alpinist. So very, very cool. Of course, if I get my wrist a bit too close to the camera lens, you're going to notice that it's just going to make the watch seem a lot larger than it actually is. If I keep my wrist nice and low, look at that. All of a sudden it looks more centered. You're seeing more of the sides of the strap. So yeah, and I do have a slightly larger than average wrist at 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters in circumference. But what I'll do is keep my wrist nice and low and then just tighten up the frame so that you guys can get still a detailed look, but just add a bit of a truer aspect ratio as how this may lay on your own wrist. And some of you are already complaining about legibility. Guys, this is the nature of filming these watches. It's reflecting off of a black camera and a black camera lens in a room that is dark and black. The only things that are lit are going to be two light sources, one on the left, one on the right. So don't be alarmed if you're looking at this going, oh my god, that's not. You guys understand how many black dial watches with reflective indices there are out there? They are legible. Yeah, just normally, guess what? Not everybody is recording their watch for YouTube, so it's not reflecting off of a black camera lens. Come on. So just relax with that. Relax in the comments. I sense it. Because I've been here. Someone, I just can't read it. It's what's the point of a watch if I can't read the time? Well, then stay away from recording your watch so that it's not reflecting off of any dark lenses. Otherwise, it will work fine. So yeah, that's facts. So this is a very handsome looking watch, and definitely due in part to the fact that it looks like a Seiko Alpinist. So you can't really argue with that. I'd say one of the cool things, though, is that the Seiko Alpinist is a niche model. Now, in the enthusiast realm, people know exactly what it is. But I'd say the casual buyer and some of the buyers that are, more of the bargain buyers, those that appreciate the value before they appreciate the brand or even the design at times. There are spec hunters out there that just want to have the best spec watch for the money. So having something with sapphire, screw down crown, water resistance, automatic hacking hand windable movement, all of these things, FKM rubber strap. There are folks that are going to want this. They don't even know what a Seiko Alpinist is. They're just going to think that this looks pretty cool. And there's going to be people that are not watch fans that are going to see this, and they are going to just think that it's a pretty cool watch. And they would think your Seiko Alpinist was pretty cool too, but you're not going to be wearing that because you got this bad boy instead. And the nice thing is you can really wear it, because it's not collectible like that JDM Sarb. It's not rising in value, so don't worry about that. You can just wear it and really enjoy it, maybe even borderline abuse it, and it's going to be there for you. And if you need a new one, if it gets destroyed, they'll be readily available. They won't be discontinued on some auction site where they're going to be trying to make a profit. So I can appreciate that. So with that said, let's actually get it off the wrist, set up for some Lume shots, low light transition, and closing thoughts. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the lights here. Hey, similar Lume to that actual Alpinist, right? It's not about the application. It's more about the potency of the small amount that is there. And it is, again, quite legible, but not a diver. It doesn't really need to be super legible. And honestly, considering what it's trying to assimilate, the Alpinist isn't known for its Lume, so not too worried there. But as you guys can see, I do like to work in a low light transition because I was going to be out in the middle of a field enjoying direct sunlight. A lot of times you're going to find yourself coming out of buildings, walking underneath overhangs, or just hanging out underneath the shade of a tree. So it's nice to see what these colors, textures, and finishes render like in less than optimal lighting. And as you guys can see, a lot of play there, but still very, very legible. I do like this. And you know what? When the Seiko version comes out here in November, I believe it is, and it's going to cost a lot more, I'm probably going to still get one because they're bringing back the Alpinist branding as well, which is very cool. So they're actually going to have it written across the dial again, which is very nice, and it's going to kind of complete this trilogy of named Seiko watches, which I'm excited about, right? Because you're going to basically have you get a built-in 3-watch collection, Speed Timer, Marine Master, and Alpinist, and it's it's competitive. It's something, you know, akin to a 3-watch collection comprised of Swiss watches of Omega and Rolex. And I'm sure you guys can already think of 3 watches. And again, this is that to a certain extent too. And it's even being, again, homaged by a brand that also homages the Rolex Explorer I, for example. So very neat. You know, I'm enjoying this review sample. I'm going to continue to collect Alpinists, but I will say, closing thoughts on here, guys. This does wear like a Seiko Alpinist, and the FKM rubber strap is actually surprisingly good, very comfortable and pliable. Definitely leans more into the outdoor adventure theme, which might not be for everyone aesthetically, but thanks to the versatile 20mm lug width, it's pretty much an easy swap. Now, in terms of model variants, it's also available in the traditional Alpinist Gilt over green dial, as well as a Black and Gilt version, which even has some gold accents, like a gold bezel, or at least plated bezel and colored, that is, you know, as well as, of course, this black dial variation as seen now. Now, getting into comparable models, guys, at just a quarter of the cost of a modern Prospex Alpinist SPB121, Milifortic continue to offer impressively affordable alternatives to modern classics. So for me, guys, the bottom line here is at the $184 price point, you really can wear this watch as intended with less worry about damage or potential future collectability. You can just enjoy it you know, at a very functional level. As someone who loves and collects Seiko Alpinist models, I do currently have like at least 8 that I can think of off the top of my head. I don't think I would have ever asked for an homage to the Alpinist, but after experiencing it in the metal, I have to say I'm not really mad at it. We've seen Milifortic produce similarly themed Sinn 556 and Rolex Explorer I homages, so I guess it does make perfect sense to produce a quality homage to the Seiko Alpinist as prices continue to rise over time. So with all that said, let me know what you all think down in the comments below. If you like the video, please like, and if you're already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.